We are cyclic in our creativity. It is constantly changing. Many of the women that I work with make big decisions. And if we know where we are in our cycle, it is amazing how we can utilize that cyclic nature and harness it. There's some times that are better spent going inside and quietly checking in with our intuition. Often women will say, I want to throw a dynamite in my business. I want to move to a different location. I want to get a divorce. It's not the time to act, but it is the time to journal and listen because it's when your intuition is the strongest. We tap into a deeper source of power. Today, I'm delving into a vital topic that's actually created a significant positive feedback from past episodes of the Women's Vibrancy Code podcast. And I want to talk about the menstrual cycle, or for women, our cyclic nature. And this is not just cyclic in our bleeding, but we are cyclic in our creativity, our desire to socialize, bloating, constipation, body aches, libido. It is constantly changing. And I love to break it down into 4 distinct seasons throughout any 28-day cycle. And the other thing I want to add is this is for every woman, regardless of whether you're currently menstruating, if you're on contraception, in perimenopause, or postmenopause. I find that many women that I work with really appreciate the self awareness that comes with honoring this cyclic, rhythmic nature of our bodies. Because it really influences our lives, our creativity, our relationships, our health. And many of the women that I work with make big decisions. They're launching books, they're doing TED Talks, they're up on stage, they're hiring, they're making big, bold decisions, they're deciding to buy a new house, whatever it may be. And if we know where we are in our cycle, it is amazing how we can utilize that cyclic nature and harness it because there's some times that are better spent going inside and quietly checking in with our intuition. There's other times throughout a cycle where it makes more sense to throw it out and brainstorm with the team, brainstorm on social media, right? There are times where we are more resilient and we're going to be building muscle and we can do heavy weightlifting. There's other times where we really need rest and lots of carbohydrates. The other thing I want to add is this is to accompany my free resource guide. So make sure you grab the link down below. I have not yet found a tracking app that I think is sufficient enough. So I created this resource guide for you guys. My suggestion is print up 3 copies. And I know it's on paper and we live in a digital world, but at least it's something, and just use it, track, pay attention, and you can mark X's or just do a 1 through 10, go through and just choose the one thing that feels distinctly different. You're going to note that it gives you the option to put in what day of your cycle you're on, if you happen to know. But also there's a place to put where the moon is. So if you're on some type of contraception where you don't bleed, or you're in perimenopause and your bleeding is erratic, or you're beyond menopause and you're no longer bleeding, it is really fascinating to see that women still notice this cyclic nature. The beauty of this is when we have the self awareness, then we can preemptively prepare. As an example, if you know that there's one week, like your PMS week, where maybe you're going to be more irritable, maybe you're going to feel more bloated and just want to stay in your comfy clothes, you're more likely to be the viper and bite your husband's head off. Well, if you know that preemptively, then you can kind of prepare yourself. You're going to give yourself a couple extra moments to breathe before you react, right? You're going to maybe schedule less on your schedule if you own your schedule, like many entrepreneurs and CEOs do, so that there's space for introspection, right? You're not overdoing it. You're not going to plan a big party at your house, right? Okay. So let's break down the menstrual cycle into 4 distinct phases akin to the 4 seasons. So we're talking winter, spring, summer, and fall. Winter is what I think of as the menstruation time. It's often the full moon time for women, and some women I find it's the new moon time. So I call that day 1 through about day 6 or 7. So the main characteristics of this winter time is it's the bleeding phase if you're bleeding. It's often aligned with the full moon. Like I said, it's a time for rest and introspection. It's a time to really listen to your intuition, create space for stillness, even if it's just a few moments of respite in your busy day. It's a time to listen in. Often women will say, I want to throw a dynamite in my business. I want to move to a different location. I want to get a divorce, whatever it may be. It's not the time to act, but it is the time to journal and listen because it's when your intuition is the strongest. Think of winter time when there's snow on the ground. there's stillness. So then we move into spring, which is also known as the follicular phase if you are still menstruating. So that's around day 7 to day 14 or so, or 13, depending on when you ovulate, if you ovulate. This phase is, like I said, right after you're bleeding. It's when we feel the most creative and energetic. Estrogen levels rise, making it an excellent time for brainstorming, for planning, engaging in physical activities like muscle building exercises. So when you were bleeding and you got quiet and you wanted to make a big change and you journaled and you listened to your intuition, springtime is the time to brainstorm with your friends, brainstorm with your team if you're going to make changes in your business. Allow for the creativity to flow. It's when springtime is like the flowers are popping out, they're budding, they're poking out. It's a very social time. It's an outward time. I see it as like if you're driving down the road and the headlights are pointing forward, you are seeing everything out in front of you. You know, one of the things that I hear most often, people come to me and say, Maraya, this brain fog, what in the heck? What is going on here? I want you to know that I've created a free resource just for you to give you mental clarity and help that brain fog go from sluggish to turn you back into the fierce achiever that you are. Because the reality is, there are long-term health consequences to just sweeping it under the rug. It's chronic stress. It's hormonal imbalances. It's the constant fight, flight, freeze, fawn. It could be gut health problems, right? Ignoring it can lead to really serious conditions down the road. So grab the free resource. Me and my team dietitian created an amazing, swift, simple, and actionable PDF that's accompanied with a call where we walk you through how to utilize it. It's totally free. So let's give you some solutions. Get the brain fog out of the way so that you can go be the powerhouse that you are. Please don't delay anymore. Grab the free resource and look forward to seeing you on the other side. Then we move into summer, which for an ovulating woman, this is when she's ovulating, or often it's the new moon time if you're tracking by the moon. And that's around day 13 to 16. It's a shorter phase. It's when we're ovulating. And this is where hormones peak. Your confidence is the strongest. Your libido is strong. You're super resilient. Like imagine water off a duck's back. You can be in the same scenario with talking politics or with your husband or whatever it may be. Your kids are throwing tantrums and you're like, I got this, right? Whereas if those same scenarios are happening during fall, you're going to react in a very different way. Okay. So summertime is the time to take action. So you've sent out those creative ideas, you've brainstormed, you've engaged in social activities, and now it's the time to actually pursue the ambitious goals. If you do live launches, this is the time to live launch. If you're going to launch the book, if you're going to speak on stage, if you're going to finally make the decision, have the big, bold conversation, this is the time to do it. We know that testosterone levels are also at their peak. Cortisol levels are nice and low. We know that statistically, a woman is more likely to get the job. You'll be walking around the community and your pheromones are different. The way you walk with confidence, your muscle tone is stronger. You feel better. You want to put on the lip gloss and cute undies in the bra. So you're more magnetic during that time. So it's a great time to put things into action. And then we go back to fall, which is also known as the luteal phase or your PMS time. Okay, that's around day 16 to day 28. Because remember, day 1 is the day you bleed. Now, some women have 24-day cycles. Some women have 34-day cycles, right? So you're going to adjust this. There's no like exact right or wrong way. But during fall, outside the leaves are falling, right? We're like circling with our loved ones. It's starting to get cold. This is when progesterone rises if you're still an ovulating woman. Okay. Our energy becomes more introspective. And like I said, even for women that are no longer bleeding, if you just keep track of it for a few months, you'll likely see the rhythms that are still happening within you. Often women will feel more irritable, maybe a little bit more anxious. The inner critic is up. Now, she serves us. We get to embrace her. We might feel a little bit more bloated or achy or constipated. It's a time for nurturing activities, bringing your real inner circle. This isn't the time to be brainstorming with everybody and out in the world. It's the time to bring in those that you really consider your inner circle and maybe for more gentle exercise, consuming warming foods, making sure you're eating carbohydrates. Progesterone requires carbohydrates in order to produce, whereas during spring and summer, do the keto, do the extended intermittent fast, do the heavy weights. The body is more resilient. Collagen is on board. Estrogen is on board during that spring and summertime, which is going to protect your joints and ligaments. Whereas when we move into fall and winter, we're losing that protection. So for women that push too hard, they increase the likelihood of injury, right? So this time of fall is the time for inner creativity, right? Being mindful of increased sensitivity and the needs for self-care. Once again, we might be more irritable. Think about PMS, okay? So once again, winter, our menstruation time, we're going to prioritize rest and self-care. Simplify your schedule and reduce commitments wherever possible. Use this time to really reflect on your desires, on your goals. Go inside, listen to your intuition, journal. Springtime is the time to capitalize on rising energy levels by engaging in creative projects and planning and brainstorming. Incorporate strength training and a diet rich in protein and healthy fats. Maybe push your intermittent fasting. And then you go into summertime, and this is take decisive action on your plans. Go, put it into action. Embrace social interactions and pursue goals and do it with vigor, right? Adjust exercise routines to be heavy, right? We're going to go heavy weights. And we know that our ligaments and tendons are more protected. And then we move into fall and we shift to nurturing activities, nurturing foods, allow time for inner reflection with our inner circle, right? To know that we might be in a bit of a more tender emotional state. In summer, when I said the lights, we're driving on the road and the lights are pointing out. Well, fall time, we're up on stage and the spotlight is on us. The lights are pointing inward. So it's time for us to look inside, go inside, adjust exercise routines to be more gentle and restorative. I also wanted to say that understanding and honoring your menstrual cycle allows you to align your activities, your diet, your self care practices with your body's natural rhythm. And this can lead to improved physical and emotional well being. You can definitely reduce symptoms. Like, for instance, if you know that one week you're more likely to have water retention and constipation, well, you're going to up your electrolytes and you're going to up your magnesium preemptively. Okay. If you know that one week your sleep is much more disruptive, you're going to really hone in on your sleep routine. In a relationship, you're going to let your partner know, oop, just as a heads up, I'm going into that week. You might want to put on your Teflon suit. And for those not currently menstruating, observing the moon cycle can offer really similar insights. For some, it's really subtle, and for others, it continues to be just as cyclic. And pay attention to how you feel during the full and new moons, and use these observations to guide your self care and guide how you plan your activity, your social schedules, if you're going to host the party, right? We cycle in many dynamic ways. It's not just for bleeding and ovulating. And so I really want women to hear this. We have this dynamic, pulsing, rhythmic nature about us. And by really embracing the cyclic nature of our bodies, we tap into a deeper source of power and a deeper source of intuition. And this approach, I think, fosters resiliency and creativity and sense of balance. What I see is it means that we show up as much more powerful and potent leaders because we build intimacy with ourselves, intimacy in our relationship. We harness our intuitive power, which is innate within all of us. And as we have that more intimate relationship with ourselves, then we have something to offer in our relationships externally that innately and inevitably more intimate as well. And now we have more joy and connection in our relationships, our friendships, our even with coworkers, right? So this is about intimacy with self. Whether you're navigating perimenopause, menopause, or just looking to understand your body better, honoring these rhythms really is a key to vibrant health and well-being. I've even used this menstrual tracker with my daughter, printed up a few copies, and for a couple months right before bed, we spent 3 minutes to go through and just check the box. What's changed today? What felt different? And to start teaching the next generation self-awareness. For some, they end up using it for fertility awareness method for their contraception, right? There's so many different ways we can take this. So I really want to make sure that you grab the menstrual tracker down below. You'll see it. It's beautiful. This tracker offers you overall health and hope for the future and irritability and sadness, right? We're looking at feeling the love, headaches, uterine cramps, joints aches and pains, muscle aches and pains, gassiness, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, weight changes, quality of sleep. You can see how it really makes a difference. And you can just go through, and for each day, you might not end up having all the way to day 31, but I did it for 31 days so that you have the option. Maybe you're bleeding, maybe you're not. If not, you can just track where the moon is. Ideally, start on day 1 or start on the new moon and just pay attention. Maybe you're gonna use a numbering system of 1 through 10 or a check mark or an X mark or an exclamation mark if there's one day where a symptom feels super pronounced. And then once you've done this in an ideal world for 3 months, you can go back through and look at, "Oh my gosh, look at the pattern. Every fall time I have this symptom." Then you reach out to me and you go, "Okay, what do I do with this?" Okay. Of course, if you enroll in the Women's Vibrancy Accelerator Trifecta, we can unpack this. We can look at the functional testing through your urine and your saliva and your blood. And we can look at where your hormones are and how your adrenals are doing and what's going on with your thyroid. You can go through self-paced modules to learn and also have support in a group setting as well as a one-on-one setting to really get to the heart of your vitality through your energy, your hormones, your libido, your confidence, your vision casting, right? All of that is here for you. Of course, it's swift, it's decisive. We cover it in just 3 months. It's a great starting point, especially if this type of thing really resonates with you. So, download the menstrual tracker. Track for a little while, ideally 3 months if you can, and don't worry if you forget a few days, as long as you know what day it is in comparison to when you started tracking, awesome. And then you can pull back and get that 50,000, 10,000 foot view over a few months, and you can see the patterns, you can see the rhythms. And then we're able, like I said, to preemptively plan, whether it's scheduling, engaging in community, creativity, diet, exercise, supplements, nutrition changes, hydration changes, so that we show up as the leaders that have big ripple effect in the world. We show up as more patient and present and loving and self-honoring moms and wives and community members, and we get to go out in the world with powerful impact.